All right, so we've added images into our login page here. So now let's go ahead and add the icons. Based on what I have in my sketch here, we're going to add 3 icons, one for the tutorial page, and then one for the email and password fields here. And then why don't we go ahead and just brush things up a little bit to help finish our login page here. So let's head back to Figma. Now, I want to show you one really cool resources for icons that you can get. There's a website called flaticon.com. I use it for a lot of my projects. As you can see here, they have almost 3 million vector icons that you can use in multiple formats, PNG, SVG, Photoshop. And this is great because they're completely free to use, although they do ask you to give credit to the artist. Now, they do have some pricing options where you can subscribe and not have to credit them, and you get access to a lot more icons as well. Cool. So using Flat Icon, I've downloaded some icons for the login page. So why don't we go ahead and find them in our resources for this project. Go into icons, and then you'll see the login page here. So they are in SVG format. Now you can definitely import PNG and JPEG icons into your project as well, although it's not recommended because you don't get much control over, for example, the fill or being able to even make tweaks to the icons. The benefit of an SVG type of icon is that you can resize them without having to worry about the icons getting pixelated. Unlike a PNG icon, which is essentially rasterized, meaning that it has a standard width and height, and if you try to make an icon larger than that resolution, it will start to get pixelated. So I recommend using SVG, and that's what we're going to be doing for this project as well. So last lesson, we dragged images into our Figma. We can do the same thing here, but just for the sake of it, I'm going to show you another method that you can insert images as well, which is pretty neat. It works pretty good for icons as well. Now let's switch back into Figma here. You can also place images into your Figma files by going up here to the shape tools, and then you see there's place image, or alternatively you can hit Shift Command K or Shift Control K in Windows, and it will go ahead and open a file browser for you that you can use. So here I see I have my 3 icons, so why don't we go ahead and just select them all and then click open. Now the place image tool gives you a bunch of options. You can either go ahead and just place all, and it would place all the images here into my frame, or I can alternatively drag and place them as I go along. So I'll show you how that works. So feel free to do that by just dragging, and again, hold shift to constrain the proportions. And then one neat thing you can do is actually hold space so that while you're placing your icon, you can actually move them around. So why don't we just put that here, and then let's go ahead and draw while holding shift again. So this one looks like it's a passport one, so it's going to go here, and we're going to resize and move these after. It's just to get an idea. Again, I'm going to hold shift and do the email one here as well, and just let go. And there you have it. Your 3 icons are now added, and so I think we're ready to go ahead and make some tweaks to both those icons as well as other stuff within our login page. So let's work from up here and go down. First thing, let's go and select our tutorial icon here, and then go ahead over here. You'll see there's no fill, but rather selection colors, and that's because when you have a group, which by default in SVG will be a group of vectors here inside your layers panel, that's why instead of a fill, it will show up as selection colors. It will do the same thing though. So go ahead and select that, and then give it a fill or a selection color of white. Let's go ahead and resize this to maybe 35 here. I think that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and add a guide. That's a horizontal guide here. You can do like 36. Just go ahead and place my image in the corner of there. That looks good. Now let's go down. Let's zoom in. Let's go ahead and double click into here. You might notice that when you have something grouped, you will have to double click into it to start changing elements inside of a group. So over here, I have my whole group, but if I want to change something with the email text, I have to double click into here and then select that email text. So I'm going to do that. Let's go ahead and resize this to 25. maybe even 22. Now this icon here is actually not part of the group yet. So to do that, go ahead and drag this icon for the email into the email group here. And so now I can actually go ahead and hold shift and select that together, and even the email background or the email text field, and then use the vertical align centers, and that will just go ahead and center everything for me. I'm going to change the text here to 14 and go ahead and change the color to a lighter color because that's a placeholder text, it's not the actual email. I'm going to use the color A4, 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 so you can pop this code into your field here and that will give you the same color if you want to use that. And then let's just finally space things properly here. Let's try to do 15 here, and then do 15 there, or actually let's do 10 there. That looks good. Let's do the same thing here. Let's first place this inside the password group. Make sure you put it inside the group and not outside. So to make sure that, for example, this layer is inside the group, there should be a little indentation here. If you miss it by accident, you can just go ahead and hover over on top of the group, and then it will definitely place it inside that group. Let's just double click in here, change this to 25 as well, or we had it 22. Let's go ahead and select everything here, center them, and just move this until we have the same as this. Apply a fill of A4, 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 and just move this so that it's matching with this position, the position of the email. Looks like I forgot to change my text to 14. And again, I'm gonna center that again, because when you do change the text size, it will change the vertical alignment. So make sure you always use the alignment tools to readjust things if they get moved around. Let's go in here. Let's change this to 14 as well. And then let's go down here. Let's go ahead and capitalize this or text over here. And to do that, go to the text section of your properties, click the three dots. And here you'll notice you have a bunch of different customizations you can make. We're just interested in the letter case here to make the case uppercase. And so now it's uppercase. Go ahead and change the fill to white. And then I'm going to select the two lines and actually bring the opacity down to, let's try 50%. We can even do something like 35. We want it to definitely be visible, but at the same time subtle. I think that's good. Maybe just bump text size of this to also 14. Stay consistent. Let's go ahead and select everything here and also do the align. That looks good. And then let's resize these to 14 and 14 here. Lastly, let's make sure that, again, we align things properly. I forgot to do this for some of the buttons, so go back in, just make sure everything is aligned vertically, and I think that looks good here. So if you go back to the sketch here, we're almost done. We just need a terms button over here or a terms section. So we're just gonna do a text instead of another button. So I think we already have too many buttons here. So let's go ahead and just press T, open a text here and write terms of service. Go ahead and change that to white here. And it looks like I completely messed up the casing here. So there we go, terms of service, and we can even do and privacy policy. That's typically what you see. To make certain parts of the text bold, just select the part that you want bold and then go ahead and use Command B as a shortcut, or you can actually access it from here as well and make it bold. Let's do the same thing here with terms of service. Make it bold. I think that looks good. Let's make sure it's centered. Okay, that's centered. And let's actually make sure we maintain a spacing of 36 from the bottom as well. So now, if I zoom out, you'll see we're almost done. Next lesson, we're going to come back and talk about colors and add some colors into here because as you can see, we don't have any colors except for the logo. So we'll try to use the logo color, which is an orange, to pick a nice color scheme for our app in the next lesson.